According to a book that's coming out, Billy Walters is the author and spent some time in jail. There was insider trading involved in this, and a very, very famous gambler. He says, citing betting records with two very reliable sources, Phil Mickelson made 858 bets of $220,000 and 1,115 bets of $110,000 from 2010 to 2014. He estimates that Mickelson endured losses of approximately $100 million while betting more than $1 billion over 3 decades. According to the book, Mickelson called Walters from Medina Country Club during the Ryder Cup and asked Walters to place a $400,000 wager for him on the U.S. team to win. Walters reportedly responded by scolding Mickelson, "Have you lost your bleeping mind? Don't you remember what happened to Pete Rose? You're seen as the modern-day Arnold Palmer. You'd risk all of that for this. I want no part of it." Walters added that he didn't know whether Mickelson placed the bet elsewhere. The Americans lost the Ryder Cup to the Europeans that year. Phil is denied ever betting on the Ryder Cup. He said that in a statement, saying that he would never undermine the integrity of the game. So there's obviously a bad blood between these two. That the author, Billy Walters, went to prison, and he thinks that Phil could have saved him from going to prison by telling the truth. And Walters later points out, while in prison, his daughter committed suicide. He thinks that had he not been in prison, he could have saved her life. So there's a lot involved in this. But I don't know what, if anything bothers you about this. If Phil Mickelson has that kind of money and he chose to bet and he lost $100 million, which is the vig on $1 billion, so it's 10%. He's not on a team, although he did try to bet on his own team in the Ryder Cup, reportedly. But you might view that as patriotism. He bet on himself. We talk about with athletes all the time. Aaron Judge bet on himself. Well, he didn't bet on himself literally with money. Boxers bet on themselves all the time. They're independent contractors. You can see a boxer before he goes into the ring or, earlier, he'll go up to the window and say, I'm going to put, $50,000. And you can do that legally. Floyd Mayweather did that all the time. Now, I don't think you can pick a round when you can knock somebody out. But he bet on himself. So I don't know if you have a problem with this, with Phil Mickelson. He had the means. He had the money. He lost a lot of money. But I think the number, the enormity is what shocks you. If you said, boy, Phil has bet a lot of money and he's lost a lot of money and he's got a gambling addiction, I'd go, yeah, I would not be surprised at any of that. But then when you say, he bet upwards of $1 billion and lost $100 million. Yeah, Paul.
That's what bothers me, I guess, as a father, husband type thing, is that it appears that this guy was betting everything almost all the time for years and years, like really maxing out his bets, which I'm sure with bettors who have millions of dollars, the only way to make it interesting is to bet a lot, where it makes you nervous or it makes you uncomfortable. That's the competitive juices that are being filled. But as a father and husband, my guess is that even though things may have appeared well at home, I can't imagine he's being forthcoming with his family about the finances and what he was doing on the side besides golfing and endorsements. That would bother me.
The book is called Gambler's Secrets of a Life of Risk, and Billy Walters is a well-known gambler, very successful gambler, maybe the most successful American bettor ever. So just some of the background information on this, trying to see if there's anything else in there. This is where it gets tricky. In 2015, court documents in a money laundering case revealed that nearly $3 million was transferred from Mickelson to an intermediary of, quote, an illegal gambling operation. In 2021, the Detroit News revealed Mickelson had been linked in court documents to an alleged mob bookie in a 2007 trial. He was not charged in either case. Let's see, anything else here? He said he was reckless. It was embarrassing, an addiction. and said, haven't gambled in years, almost a billionaire now. Thanks for asking. Yeah, Paulie.
I was wondering if a PGA golfer could legally bet on himself to win an event. Let's say you're playing in the Nissan Open, some random golf event. Could you legally go to a sports book or online and bet on yourself to win the tournament? It seems somewhat benign. You're definitely going to try your hardest. The PGA Tour has an integrity program. They announced it in 2017 that keeps competitors on all 6 tours, Korn Ferry, up and down, authentic and free from any potential outside influences that could result in today's gambling culture. So you're not allowed officially, as of 2017, to bet on yourself as a golfer.
And you can't bet on yourself as a tennis player either?
I got to check that, but my guess is
to
yes.
win.
Checking.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we looked at Calvin Ridley, and he lost close to $4,000 when he was betting as a member of the Atlanta Falcons. He got suspended for an entire year, and you're going, he got suspended for $4,000. It just, you always bet, you have to bet something that makes it interesting. I watch people gamble, and I was in Tahoe, and I watched some celebrities gamble, and I wasn't, aware of how much the chips were. So I remember asking, and I didn't ask the person who was playing blackjack, but I said, how much is that? He goes, it got 25,000 each hand. And I go, oh, okay, so 25,000. He goes, he's got 5 hands going at the same time. He was playing 5 separate hands of blackjack, $25,000. And he looked miserable.
You've gotten to a point where you're unsatisfiable like a drug, where one hand of blackjack won't satisfy you, even if you put tons of dough on it.
Yes. But as Tiger once said to me, when I said, I'd love to play, and he goes, I think it was, how much are we playing for? And he goes, whatever makes you nervous. And that's what it is. Michael Jordan, when he plays golf, I'm told when he would go to Vegas and he would play in these matches with gamblers, they'd play golf. And this is, really dead serious, can't touch your ball until it gets in the cup, like all those crazy things. But they would be waiting for Mike to play, and Mike would show up with a satchel full of cash because you got to pay your bets. It's not like, hey, I'll get you later, or hey, just kidding. You have to pay that cash right then and there. Yes, Eden.
That's how that happens when you're like super mega rich and you're playing golf and you guys are gambling on each hole or whatever it is. People just have bags of cash that they give each other?
I'm told that Michael had bags of cash.
Big swoosh on the side.
But yeah, exactly. But if you're going to play for that kind of money, and unless you have a friendship that you go, I got you. These guys want the money right there.
There's no Venmo back then.
No. They want you to pay up right there. That's how you do it. It's honor among thieves,
Can you Venmo that much money?
I don't think you can Venmo a couple $100,000.
Cash App?
I don't know how that works.
What if someone created a Venmo betting app where if you want to bet friends legally,
Good.
Everyone's doing it.
We're going to have a catastrophe in gambling at some point. It's inevitable. The mothership is now in business with gambling. So you're going to tell me there's no conflict of interest when Adam Schefter may have some information there and he withholds it, and hopefully it never happens. But you're going to have, you got these guys who have the information. That's why they're valuable. If Shefty left now, or some of these other insiders, and they went to work for, some kind of company, gaming company, you could double your salary. Like the value of Adam Schefter to Caesars or whatever it might be, whatever company, DraftKings, they'd be like, all right, hey, I got some information here. Now it affects the line. Now you can protect yourself. You can get ahead of everybody else. You got the Iowa situation with these kids who are betting. Hey, nobody's going to know we're at Iowa State in Iowa. Who's going to follow this? Who's going to find out? Hey, I'll use my mom's account. Right? That's how it works. Nobody thought that they would be caught. Nobody goes into something going, you know what? I'm going to get caught. Because you wouldn't do it. But you have the means now. It's so easy to gamble. You can. It's hard not to gamble. Let's put it that way. Yeah, Seton.
This is actually a really good question. Who would have a better 30 for 30, Tiger or Phil? We got that from Twitter.
Ooh.
Feels like there's a lot. One side we know a lot less about.
Yes. Well, we have a false impression of Phil. And, I think that he's had this persona where he was, every man. He's the guy you root for. That's the guy who goes for it. We like him. Tiger was the mystery. We didn't know anything about Tiger. Didn't seem like he was friendly. He cheated on his wife. Like all these things. But, yeah, the 30 for 30 would be fascinating. But you also have people who are willing to tell you something in the 30 for 30.
A bunch of guys going,
Yes, when he was at the Madonna Country Club, he told me he was going to black shade in front of their face.
I'm wondering if we have a Pac-12 30 for 30 of just, and I don't know if enough people care about it, but just the mess, maybe realignment 30 for 30, or like the stuff behind the scenes that's happened that we don't know about. But yeah, Mickelson at 30 for 30 would be pretty fascinating. Yes, Tom.
Would Phil bet on what's in and not in his 30 for 30?
All right.
minus 30, we call it.
All right. Thank you. He's taking the over in the 30 for 30 or the
30 and a half.
30 and a half, the hook.
30 and a half, 30 and a half. Or it'd be the 30 and a half, 30.
That's exactly what they should call it.
All right. I'm going to give you a bloop on that, Todd. Yeah, Paul.
I don't know that Phil Mickelson's bothered by this because he's
Well, no, he was just asked about it. Hey, I had a gambling problem, but I'm almost a billionaire. Hey, thanks for asking. It doesn't sound like he's too bothered by this.
Nobody loves when the Live Tour came out about more than him.
Oh, man.
Bailout.
We got $200 million. And there was speculation at the time.
They gave it to him in chips.
There was speculation at the time that Phil needed the money from the Live Tour. It's a $200 million payout, if that's what it was, whether that's true or not. But then you have the gambling allegations. I don't know if he needed it, but that's still a lot of money. And that's why he was leading the charge, and he's still leading the charge for the Live Tour.